Today's lesson is digital detoxing possible in our world today? Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And my name is Helen.
And today we're going to be talking about something called digital detoxing. Okay, detoxing is when you try to get rid of some poisons or toxins in your body. Detox is the process of trying to break your addiction to whatever you're addicted to. In this case, we're talking about a different kind of detoxification. We're talking about digital detoxing. Maybe you're addicted too much to your devices and you need to step back a little bit.
Right. So detox usually is a word that's used for food and drink. People have to go into detox if they want to stop using bad drugs that cause havoc on their bodies. People also go into detox when they drink too much alcohol. But then the word has come to be used to refer to getting rid of even food, unhealthy food in your body. So if you've eaten a lot of greasy fried food, then you might say, I'm going to have to detox my body and not eat any fried foods for the next month and eat a lot of vegetables and fruit so I can detox. That's another way of using detox. But more recently, detox is being used in the area of computers and smartphones because a lot of people spend too much time using their devices. And this can have negative effects on their body and their mind. So they decide that they need to go through a digital detox, which means to get rid of or stop using devices for a period of time.
Well, some people may not agree with this. A lot of people may think that I don't use my phone too much. It's not a problem. Why do people keep bringing this up? But of course, we have some studies that indicate that indeed people do spend too much time on their phones. It's bad for their necks. It's bad for their eyes. So yes, indeed, once in a while, you need to step back and take a break. But the question is digital detoxing possible in our world today? It's a good question. Let's try to answer this question. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson and introduce this topic to you today.
Is digital detoxing possible in our world today? How many times have you stared at your phone, clicking one random link after another, only to realize that hours have gone by? Our phones are our connection to the world, and they're becoming harder and harder to put down.
大家好，第一部分我们来介绍形容词 random， 它的意思是随机的或是任意的。例如 These seemingly random burglaries appear to be connected. 这些看似随机发生的窃盗案似乎有关联。又或者说 The poll took a random sample of voters and asked their opinions of the presidential candidates. 该民意调查是对选民随机抽样，询问他们对总统候选人的看法。
How many times have you stared at your phone, clicking one random link after another, only to realize that hours have gone by? Well, in my case, many times. Sometimes when I'm waiting for the bus or I'm in between tasks, I might just pick up my phone and start clicking and scrolling through the pages and then clicking on random links. So when I click on a random link, I'm not clicking on a specific link in order to get at a particular piece of information. Random describes something that you choose without any specific purpose or aim. So you click on it just because it's there, because you're bored and you have nothing better to do. For the word random, I could also say that I'm really hungry, I want to have lunch, but I don't have time to look for a restaurant. So I'll just go into a random restaurant and grab a bite to eat.
Yep, there's no particular order there. Things are at random. And in this particular case, yes, indeed, you're swiping on the screen of your phone. You're checking out various links. Or you could be doing this on your PC at home, which happens to me a lot. I start watching one YouTube video and then they suggest other ones, so I try to watch those as well. And then when I look at my watch, I realize, oh no, I just wasted 2 hours looking at a bunch of videos and none of them were really satisfying. So this is a question here. Have you done this? How many times have you stared at your screen or your phone, clicking at those random links? and then you realize that all that time has gone by, all that time has passed. Well, our phones are our connection to the world, and they're becoming harder and harder to put down. It is true that a lot of people do use their phones. They need them for work. They're getting messages from their clients, or they're sending messages to their coworkers and things like that. So they do need to use their phones. But a lot of times, people are just staring at their phones because they have nothing better to do. They can play games. They can check out those Instagram posts. My goodness, it's getting harder and harder to put down those phones and just relax a little bit.
Right. So we have a dilemma or a problem here because on the one hand, people are using their phones too much in a bad way, in a way that's not meaningful because they're clicking on random links. But on the other hand, people need their phones because they might use their phones to pay for things, to find out the latest news, to keep in touch with people. So your phone is very necessary in today's modern life, but you also don't want to use it to waste time. So what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? Well, we'll find out here as our lesson continues. Let's move on now to the second part, and we'll listen to it first.
Unfortunately, scientists have linked this constant connectivity to increased stress, and while one could potentially take a digital detox, an extended break from being online, that would be difficult for most of us. Being online is now simply too vital for numerous daily tasks. So instead of a complete digital detox, it might be better to just avoid those time-consuming rabbit holes of online distraction. In other words, send that important work email or dash off a quick text to a friend, but don't spend hours scrolling through social media. Experts call this approach gray detoxing, because it involves being neither immersed in nor totally cut off from the digital world.
第二部分我们看到形容词 extended， 它的意思是时间长的、延长的或是延伸的。例如 Pete will be taking an extended vacation this winter. Pete 将在今年冬天休个长假。另外去掉这个字的字尾 ed 就会变成动词 extend，意思是展开或是延伸。例如 The cat extended its claws when it saw the dog coming. 那只猫看到有狗过来时，便伸出了它的爪子。或者 The river extends through this valley. 这条河流延伸越过这个山谷。接下来我们看到名词 distraction. 这个字的意思是使人分心的事，分散注意力的东西，娱乐或是消遣。例如It is difficult for me to study at the coffee shop because there are too many distractions. 在咖啡厅读书对我来说很困难，因为有太多让人分心的事物。或是 It's a good idea to eliminate distractions while you're trying to stay concentrated. 当你试着保持专注时，消除会分散注意力的事物是个好方法。另外，去掉这个字的字尾 ion 就会变成动词 distract， 它是指使分心或是转移。例如 A loud noise distracted the police officer and the thief escaped. 巨大的声响让警察分了心，小偷就脱逃了。又或者说 The accident happened because the driver was distracted by his cell phone. 这场事故发生的原因是因为那位驾驶人被手机分心。下一个我们看到单字 scroll， 它是动词，指的是在荧幕上来滚动或是滑动网络页面或是档案。例如Everyone on the MRT was scrolling through social media on their phone. 捷运上的每个人都在他们的手机上滑社群媒体。又或者说 Brianna spends at least 3 hours per day scrolling through her phone. Brianna 每天花至少3个小时滑手机。
So in the last part, we mentioned that people are really tied to their phones these days because phones fulfill so many different practical functions, and they are also a distraction to people. Now, unfortunately, scientists have linked this constant connectivity to increased stress. And while one could potentially take a digital detox, an extended break from being online, that would be difficult for most of us. So scientists have said that this constant connectivity In other words, the connection between computers and people, the fact that we're constantly connected to our computers and our smartphones, this increases stress. So we become more stressed when we're constantly using our telephones and our computers. And even though we could stop using these devices, we can't really do that for a long time. An extended break from being online would be difficult. So a break could be short or it could be extended. When it's extended, it's longer. You can have a short vacation or you can have an extended vacation, which would be longer than your normal vacation. So it just means to make longer. Now, being online is now simply too vital for numerous daily tasks. And that goes back to the problem that we were talking about before. We simply use our devices for too many daily things, like looking at the news, finding out information, keeping in touch with your friends or your school group, and even making purchases. So we really do need our devices.
Yep, they're so important that reaching for our phones is probably the first thing we do when we wake up in the morning. We've got to see if any messages came in overnight or if there's some important information that we need to know in order to survive. So, here in the next paragraph it says, instead of a complete digital detox, it might be better to just avoid those time-consuming rabbit holes of online distraction. So here, of course, we realize that it's impossible for people to totally live without their phones. We still need them for numerous daily tasks. So instead of a complete digital detox, as another alternative, we could just avoid those time-consuming rabbit holes of online distraction. A rabbit hole is referring to that story of Alice in Wonderland where she goes into the rabbit hole and all these different sorts of things happen. So a rabbit hole is just when you get distracted by something and then you spend a lot of time with that thing when you're not really supposed to. So yes, these rabbit holes can be very time-consuming. We can spend a lot of time playing games or checking out the latest videos or pictures, and they can waste a lot of our time and not really be that beneficial at the end.
Right. So as Roger mentioned, a rabbit hole is something that you enter, that you get deep into, and then you end up somewhere unexpected. And that happens to a lot of us when we are watching YouTube videos, for instance, or when we're on TikTok. We look at one video and that leads us to another video and then to another and another, so that by the end you are completely in a different topic, on a different level from when you first started looking. Perhaps you first went on the internet to look for a piece of information, and by the time you finished, you've entered the rabbit hole and you've gone so deep that you don't even know how you got there.
Yep, of course, we all need to relax once in a while, and there's nothing wrong with watching YouTube videos for a little bit, but sometimes we just spend way too much time on those videos, also on TikTok and Instagram. I'm guilty of that as well. I often watch video after video on YouTube. So yes, indeed, maybe I could avoid those time-consuming rabbit holes because they are a distraction. There are other things to do that could be more fun, like talking to your friends or going to exercise, going for a walk in the park or whatever. And in other words, send that important work email or dash off a quick text to a friend, but don't spend hours scrolling through social media. Now, if somebody says something that's kind of difficult to comprehend at first, you can use this phrase in other words. I could say, for example, I'm afraid my mind does not comprehend the utterance which you just said in your last several sentences. In other words, I don't understand what you just said.
Right, or you might give an excuse to somebody like, oh, my mother is sick, and then I have to take my sister to her ballet lesson, etc., etc. And then you can say, in other words, I can't come to your party on Saturday. So, but, you know, if you say in other words, people will understand.
Indeed. So, yes, indeed, we're talking about avoiding those time-consuming rabbit holes of online distraction. Well, in other words, we can do those emails. We can dash off those quick texts to friends, but we don't need to spend hours scrolling through social media. Okay, so yes, indeed, to dash something off just means to do something rather quickly. Indeed, we've just received a message from somebody and we think, oh, I've got to respond to that. I can't delay on that. It's very important. If I don't send a response right away, I'll be in big trouble. So yes, indeed, we do need to return an email or dash off a quick text to a friend via line or whatever. But we should not spend hours scrolling through all those social media websites. So if you scroll through something, you're just going through all those different things you can see on your phone, usually by thumbing the screen. You keep pushing the screen up with your thumb to scroll through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. You're looking at something, and you only spend about 2 or 3 seconds on one thing, and then you scroll to the next thing.
Yes, and experts call this approach gray detoxing. So this refers to what we were talking about before, which is using your smartphone or computer only to dash off quick texts to a friend, but not allowing yourself to be consumed by rabbit holes of online distraction. And this is great detoxing because, well, things are usually described as being black or white. So before, one might say, I'm going to do a total detox. Or they might say, I'm not going to do a detox because I need to use my phone. However, in this case, you can do a great detox, which means that you can use your phone for some things, and then you can give up doing other things on your phone. So in that case, it's both black and white, or it becomes gray.
Exactly. It's a gray area there. It's not totally giving up your phone. It involves or has these things as a part of it. It involves being neither immersed in nor totally cut off from the digital world. To be immersed in something just means to be totally surrounded by that thing. You can be immersed in water, for example, but you better know how to swim or it could be very dangerous for you. And you're neither immersed in nor cut off from the digital world. So that's the pattern, neither nor. It's not this one thing and it's not this other thing either. So you're neither immersed in or totally cut off from the digital world. You're kind of in the middle there somewhere. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson. Let's wrap things up now and listen to the third and final part.
With gray detoxing, you can set specific times to go offline and do something else, or you can even install apps that limit your access to the biggest time sucks. Simply put, gray detoxing can help you stay connected without being too connected.
最后第三部分我们看到单字 install， 它是动词，指的是安装或是设置。例如 A worker is coming to install a new air conditioner in my apartment. 一名工人要来我公寓安装新冷气。或是 It will take a few hours to install the new software onto the computer. 要安装这个新软体到电脑上会花几个小时。
So in conclusion, with gray detoxing, you can set specific times to go offline and do something else, or you can even install apps that limit your access to the biggest time sucks. So in other words, when you're doing gray detoxing, you can use your device only at specific times during the day. For instance, you might use it before lunchtime or when you get off school or get off work. And then for the rest of the time, you go offline. When you're offline, it means you are not reachable by other people via text, and you are also not able to use social media because you don't have internet connection. You are offline instead of being online.
Right, so do something else besides staring at that phone. Don't go jogging and hold the phone in front of you while you're doing that. Put that dang phone down and do something else. Or you could install some apps that limit your access to the biggest time sucks. A time suck is something that sucks away your time. And I guess there are apps that you can download. You can install them in your phone, and they will limit your access. Maybe they'll have a timer or something that will turn off the phone automatically when you've spent too much time on the phone. And this would be possible if you're serious about doing a gray detoxing. And simply put, to put it simply, gray detoxing can help you stay connected without being too connected. So simply put, in other words, to make it more simple, yeah, gray detoxing might be a possible choice for you if you're not quite ready to give up the phone all day long. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。要长时间不上网进行数位排毒，这实在太难了。那课文第二部分就建议我们，与其进行全面的数位排毒，或许更好的是，只要避免那些耗时而且让你无法自拔的网络分心活动。文中是用 time-consuming rabbit holes of online distraction 来表达耗时而且让你无法自拔的网络分心活动。那我们来看一下 time-consuming 就是形容耗费时间的旷日费时的。那么 rabbit hole 是兔子洞嘛？那这个用法其实是源自于童话故事《爱丽丝梦游仙境》。那故事一开始就有描述说，爱丽丝跟着一只会说话的兔子进到兔子洞，然后展开了一段充满未知的旅程。那么 rabbit hole 就可以用来表达让人无法脱身，深陷什么什么之中而无法自拔的情况。那我们还可以用 go down the rabbit hole 去比喻说进到未知的世界，或是陷入困境的意思。好，那另外文中它有用到 distraction 这个名词来表达使人分心的事物，分散注意力的东西。那它的动词是 distract， 我们来学它的字首字根。好，看到 tract tract 这个字根啊，它有拉、吸引或是移动拖的意思。像 tractor 在 tract 后面加上 or 变 tractor 表示牵引机、拖拉机。那我们看到 distract 这个字当中，它的字首 dis 表示偏离， tract 表示拉力，把你的注意力都拉走拉偏了，偏离你原本专注的事物，这样应该可以联想到 distract， 它可以表达使分心转移注意力。好，那我们也补充几个相同字根的单字。第一个是 attract， 它的字首 at 是来自 ad 表示朝向， tract 表示拉力。那很美或是很有趣的事物就好像是有拉力一样，会把你的注意力拉向它们，朝向它们，这样应该可以联想到 attract 它有吸引或是引起什么注意的意思。第二个补充的是 extract， 它的字首 ex 表示向外， tract 有汲取或是拔出的意思，那合在一起 extract 就是表达取出、拔出、萃取、截取。第三个补充的是 subtract， 它的字首 sub 表示分开，那么 tract 表示抽。当我们把这个东西分离，把一部分抽走拿走，这样应该可以联想到 subtract 它就有扣除掉的意思，所以 subtract 就是指减去或是减掉。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Random. I picked a random book from the shelf in the hope that it would be interesting. Extended. Professor Hall is having extended office hours this week to help students prepare for the test. Involve. The project will involve cooperation between scientists and engineers from different fields. Install. I just installed new word processing software on my computer. Access. These cards provide employees access to the restricted area.
Discussion starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, would you be interested in a gray detoxing? Why or why not?
No, I don't think I would want to try a gray detoxing since I think that would be too difficult. I would rather do a total detoxing, which means that I cannot use my phone for a particular amount of time. Nobody can get in touch with me. I can't get in touch with other people. It's just better that way.
Well, yes, I should say. I have tried a gray detoxing before. I did so because I thought I was spending too much time on my phone and I was missing the better things in life. So what I did is I started wearing a wristwatch in order to find out what the time was, because I often relied on my phone for that, and every time I picked up the phone to check the time, I would invariably start scrolling through all those different websites, so I realized I was getting sucked in, so I tried to withdraw from the phone a bit, and it seemed to work.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoy reading along with us. I am Helen.
I am Roger.
See you next time.